The long and rich history of Nintendo has brought with it plenty of memorable games for a vast number of consoles. Today I'm looking at the purple console that could, the Nintendo GameCube, as I count down my personal top 10 games for the cute lunchbox shaped console. But before we start, there are a couple of ground rules I need to point out. The games on this list were, for a period of time, exclusive to the console, so you won't be seeing such classics as Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time and Beyond Good and Evil. Those will be for another countdown. As well, this is my personal list, so some games that you might expect to see, such as Super Smash Bros. Melee, won't be on here. Please don't hate me. Now, with that out of our way, let's begin with the top 10 games for the Nintendo GameCube. Remember when rhythm-based games were all the rage? Well, with Donkey Konga, you got to drum along to mostly current hits with the unique bongos controller. There were 4 notes you could hit: the left bongo, right bongo, both bongos together, and a clap thanks to the controller's included microphone. There were times where you looked completely insane wailing on this thing, but it was just pure enjoyment. The multiplayer was also very entertaining, assuming you had a second set of bongos. The soundtrack was a mixed bag at the time and really hasn't aged well today, but beating those bongos is still a good time. Wrestling games were a dime a dozen in the 90s and early 2000s, but one of the most memorable was WWE Day of Reckoning 2. There was a lot to like in this package: amazing graphics for the time, a hefty roster, plenty of match options, an enjoyable single-player campaign, robust create-a-wrestler mode, and of course, a deep wrestling engine. The stamina bar added a new level of strategy to matches, with everything you do affecting it. And not being able to pick up and slam opponents that were much bigger than you was a nice touch. I have many fond memories playing multiplayer tournaments with friends, even having a thrilling tournament at a recent game night I hosted. Often touted by many as the best Paper Mario in the entire series, though I'd disagree, The Thousand Year Door is a lighthearted RPG with a ton of depth. The staples that the series are known for are here, such as the humorous dialogue and engaging combat. It also looks much more clean and sharp. Yes, it's mainly 2D sprites in a 3DS world, but it looked beautiful. And it makes sure to keep things fresh with a variety of things to do, places to visit, and characters you'll meet along the way. Most of the recent installments fail to capture the same charm and are often too repetitive, so it's nice to revisit this classic. Pikmin is a novel idea from the creative mind of Shigeru Miyamoto. By encompassing real-time strategy gameplay with puzzle elements, it goes in a totally unique direction for the big N. I remember being amazed at seeing Olimar walking around the delightful world while 100 cute little creatures followed him around building, carrying, and of course, battling. I do prefer the sequel more, as you'll see later on in this list, as I wasn't a fan of the brevity and imposed time limit of the original. But being the start of one of Nintendo's most underrated series, Pikmin was an amazing technical achievement and a big risk I'm glad they took, as it is still a joy to play today. The Bongos controller makes yet another appearance on this list with Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Being a 2D platformer controlled by a pair of bongos sounds like a disaster, but Jungle Beat pulls it off in spades. Movement is as simple as hitting either the left or right bongo to move in that direction, with both together leading to a jump and a clap leading to a grab. Going through the game is easy enough, but the real fun comes from the way each level is meticulously crafted that most can be completed through one massive combo. Another noteworthy feature are the well-designed boss battles that use the unique controls in great fashion. Despite being a launch title for the Nintendo GameCube, Luigi's Mansion is by no means a rush attempt to replace the hole that not having a Mario game leaves. Graphically, it is just as impressive as titles released later on in the console's life. It also does a great job of introducing you to the intricacies of the Nintendo GameCube controller, with the C-Stick making the vacuum control responsive yet challenging. I also don't mind that the game is fairly short, as if it were any longer I feel it might have felt too repetitive. My buddy Amriel and I make it a Halloween tradition to play through it every year. It's that good. So all the great things I said about the original Pikmin earlier were still true when the sequel rolled around. Pikmin 2 fixed the biggest issues I had with the original, the lack of content and time limit. Instead, we were given a much longer campaign that contained a ton of collectibles. The newly introduced cave system meant that while you were underground, you didn't have to race against a clock, which let you plan out your attack better. I know the caves were highly criticized by many to be bland, but I think they made the game so much better. Plus, you still had great outside environments as well. To top it all off, we were introduced to 2 new types of Pikmin, the poisonous whites, and my personal favorite, the heavy purples. There are few multiplayer games that are more fun to play than Super Mario Strikers. Essentially, it's soccer on steroids, with Mario sprinkled into the mix. It's awesome to see the inhabitants of the Mushroom Kingdom come together in such brutal fashion, as we are usually shown a much happier side. The soccer gameplay is very easy to pick up and play, but with enough depth that experienced players can get really good with its complexities, making it very similar to the way Mario Kart 8 handles multiplayer. I have had numerous tournaments with friends, and I have yet to meet someone who doesn't like this game. Strikers has the honor of being the GameCube game with my favorite box art. It's so stylish, just check that out. The majority of video games have an end goal, something that Animal Crossing leaves totally up to the player. It's a game where you are given freedom to do whatever you want. Believe it or not, here is just a fraction of the many activities you can do in this game. Fishing, fruit picking, planting flowers, making friends with other citizens, running errands, decorating your house, catching bugs, helping the local museum build its collection, paying off your mortgage, shopping, participating in real-world holidays, sending gifts, picking up seashells, creating clothing patterns, writing letters, playing classic NES games, investing in the local turnip stock market, pulling weeds, listening to music, expanding your house. I think you get the point. It's the perfect game to kick up your feet with and just escape reality. And isn't that what video games are all about? Clover Studios had a real masterpiece on their hands when they crafted Beautiful Joe. To put it simply, it's a 2D beat-em-up that is overflowing with style. The cel-shaded art style makes everything look like a comic book come to life. Then, with Joe's unique combat features of time manipulation and zoom-in ability, the combat becomes tremendously satisfying. Honestly, the combat system is pure bliss. And though the game can be ridiculously challenging, it never feels cheap. Every death is your own fault and you improve over time. The boss battles were extremely memorable, pushing everything you've learned to the next level. In particular, Fire Leo is easily one of my favorite video game bosses of all time. It took me hours to finally defeat him the first time I played the game. Beautiful Joe has aged wonderfully, being just as fun today as it was when it was originally released almost 15 years ago. Thanks for going down GameCube memory lane with me today. Please let me know what your top 10 are below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already for more gaming goodness. And as always, game on.